Good morning. I'm making this video because I want to help in some way with the fears, panic, anxiety that's going on out there about the coronavirus, and explain one perspective on looking at it, in particular anxiety that we feel. So I study something called meta health or meta consciousness. And when we look at anxiety, we're looking at two aspects of our reaction that we're having, the biological reaction and what's going on in our minds. And they are powerlessness and what we call frontal fear. So you can see how these two together, when we're afraid of something that's happening in front of us playing out and we feel powerless, that it does what we call constellates into anxiety. And for some of us, it's just going to be what's going on right now is triggering us. But for some people, it will be that we already have had experiences in the past in our lives where those two things played out. So we may already be somebody who experiences anxiety a lot or periodically. And what's happening now is re-triggering the parts of us that feel powerless and are afraid of things happening in front of us. So if you identify that you're one of those people, then know that that's what's happening to you, that you're being re-triggered into past traumas, intense emotional experiences, shocks that have happened that had that emotional flavor to them. And then for others, it's purely about what's happening now and feeling powerless about this virus that seems to be coming at us from the front. So what can we do? So I think there are a couple of things we can do. One is we do something that stops us from feeling as powerless. So that means we need to find a way to feel powerful, to do something that is giving us some kind of agency in this situation. So what I would suggest there is that we take control in terms of ourselves. So making a plan, thinking about how can I deal with this thing that is coming towards me? So if I get it, what is my plan? If a family member gets it, what is my plan? What is going to be my plan regarding work? For some people, there may be financial implications. So what is my plan? And actually write down what your plan is. So if you get it, what are you going to do? Who might you need to call? You need to have those numbers written down. How are you going to get access to food and any other things that you may require? And the idea for doing this is that it is helping us to come out of our fight, flight, freeze response. So that's what happens when we are fearful of something, when we've gone into a state of panic or anxiety, overwhelm, feel like we're not coping, we've been triggered, our body is having a stress response. The sympathetic nervous system is turned on, and that means that there are all sorts of biological responses going on within our body to help us to cope with the stress. And it's a normal biological response that the human bodies have. In fact, all creatures on the planet have it because it's designed to keep us safe and to help us survive. However, it's only intended for short-term use. So, the classic running away from the saber-toothed tiger, our, reactions when we are nearly in a car crash or something like that. But what is happening in modern society is there so many things going on and so much happening that we get pushed into a state of stress more often and for longer periods of time. And what's going on right now with COVID-19 is a classic example of that, that it's lots of people were already living in a state of stress. It's pushing them into a higher than normal state of stress, very heightened state of stress. And so our biology becomes affected. Our digestion, you don't need your digestive system to work well if you're going to run away from danger or turn around and fight it. Therefore, in a state of stress, our digestion is affected, our heart rate increases, our blood pressure changes, the blood supply to the front part of our brain is reduced because that's where our higher thinking functions come from, and we don't need those when we're just going to run away from something or fight. And the longer we stay in that heightened state of stress, the more adaptations our body has to make to cope with it. It's using up extra nutrients, our sleep gets affected, all sorts of things go on. And as my trainer said the other day, what goes up has to come down. So when we come down out of that period of stress, our body has to heal. It has to repair and restore all those adaptations that it made in the stress phase. So this is where we will see illness. So don't be surprised if you manage to reduce your stress a bit, that you feel more tired, that you may get some symptoms of illness as your body adjusts. So there are lots of good reasons to stay out of the high anxiety, because not only is all of that going on, but our immune system is depressed when we're in a state of stress, because we don't need it, do we, if we're about to run away from something or turn around and fight something. But actually, in this situation, we want good, functioning immune systems. We want our vitality to be good, because it's the vitality of our biological system and our mind and our emotions that helps us to manage disease when it comes along. So the best thing we can do for ourselves at the moment is to bring ourselves out of this over the heightened stress response. So yeah, making a plan. So you're taking some control. You have agency over your own life, what decisions you're going to make. And think about it in terms of, well, what do I need to put in place for myself if I contract the virus? What will I need help with? Who might be able to give me that help? Write it down. But also think about, and what support can I offer others who may have the virus? Can I go and do shopping for people? Can I leave a meal on the doorstep? So this is us stepping up to the challenge and doing something about it, rather than staying stuck in a powerless place that just ends up with us with swirling thoughts and what ifs and what could be and all that sort of stuff. That's not going to be helpful for any of us, and it's certainly not helpful for our vitality and our biology to keep us well. So that's one aspect. The other aspect is, well, how do we, what else can we do to help bring ourselves out of the sympathetic nervous system response into parasympathetic, which is the place where our bodies repair, they digest well, all those sorts of things. So a good way to do that is to get ourselves into the present, because the panic and the fear and the overwhelm is coming from us going future thinking. What if this? What if that? What if my brother gets it? Would be one of mine. What if my elderly neighbours get it? What if my husband? What if? Is my vitality strong enough? They're all things that we can either make a plan about, or we have to accept that we have no control over. And the whirling around in our head, trying to figure out the unfigurable outable, is not going to help us. So we need to come back into the moment as much as we can. And a good way, and to do that, is to use our senses. We've got these incredible bodies that can do these amazing things, so use it. So just ask yourself, right, what can I see around me? And literally, like, I can go, there's daffodils on my desk, there's a lamp, there's some books on the shelf, there's plants on the windowsill. That's bringing us back and anchoring us back into now by using sight. And you can do the same with your hearing. So what can I hear? So I can hear a clock ticking. I can hear traffic in the distance. I can hear a lot of silence in my house at the moment. So that's our sight, our hearing. What about our smell? So can we smell anything? Perhaps we can smell cooking going on. We can a fire burning, perhaps perfume. The same taste. What can we taste? I mean, and we can even choose to taste something, to really taste it, to help us stay into the moment. So, and touch. So what can I touch? I can touch my dress and feel the softness and the smoothness of it. I can look at it at the same time and see that it's blue and it's got little black flowers on it. So our senses are a wonderful way back into the present moment, the same as feeling ourselves. I'm just adjusting now to do it. My feet on the floor, my bottom on the seat. So these are practices that we can do right in the moment, just to bring us back down, back into the moment, focus on the breath, use the senses, make a plan. Because we don't know how long this is going on. We're in a period of uncertainty, and we're not great with uncertainty. We like to know what's going on because that brings us safety and security. So we perhaps that accepting of this is a period of uncertainty. So what can you make certain in your life around you? And what else can you do that helps you feel good? So what's going to improve your vitality? What's going to boost your immune system? So laughing, get out the comedies, play a board game with your family or friends, to have fun, dance, eat really good food. It's very easy when we're in a state of panic and that heightened stress, we're looking for energy to keep going, is to start stuffing in carbohydrate and sugar to keep going, and it keeps that level of stress up there, but it's not at all helpful for us in terms of our biology and our vitality. Sleep, obviously, another one. So those are a few suggestions. I'm going to make a video, a kind of tapping meditation for our fear and panic and anxiety, because the tapping technique that I use in my practice is really good and shown scientifically to have a calming effect on the body. It lowers cortisol, it calms the brain reactions down, and we need as much of that as we can possibly have at the moment. When we're in fear, when we're in panic, when we're anxious, we don't think sensibly, we're very easily manipulated and controlled, and it's serious. It's serious illness for people who have compromised immune systems, who are already unwell in some way, or are elderly and therefore their vitality is more frail. But for most of us, it's not going to be an issue. Like, we'll hardly notice we've had it from what they're saying. So most of us don't need to be concerned about ourselves. And if we are getting concerned about ourselves, where is that coming from? What are we telling ourselves about our situation? So an example might be that I was letting myself get upset about it the other day, and I sometimes I get palpitations, heart palpitations, or there's lots of names for it anyway. But it had really increased and my heart rate had gone up. So that was the evidence to me, oops, I've gone into higher than normal stress level for myself. And I had the feelings that I used to have when I was really wired as part of chronic fatigue. And I know how bad that is for me, and I don't want to have a big crash into fatigue. So I've spent time calming myself down and getting a reality check on the whole thing, and also identifying what was my fear. What was I actually frightened about? I'm not frightened about getting the virus. For me, that doesn't feel like an issue. I do have some concerns about people that I know getting it, but I'm not in control of that, and I'm not in control of whether they get through the virus and live or not. These will be things I'll just have to accept as they come along. But I am actually really frightened about the way that everybody is reacting to what's going on. I don't quite understand why it's become such a big, massive issue on our planet. Or do I? That's a whole other discussion. But yeah, so those are my fears and concerns, seeing that people not behaving well, the panic buying, because to me, that's an indication that we have not evolved as humans, and we need to evolve because we are facing a much bigger threat than coronavirus on our planet to human survival. And in order to get through it, we need to work together. We need to be more compassionate and kind, and to be prepared to share and to work together in community. And whilst a lot of that is going to go on and is going on because of this, which is a wonderful thing, and we really have those amazing capacities within us, there have also been really unpleasant, unkind behaviours happening out there, and it comes from the fear. And a lack of real understanding that the power that we have is in community, not in separating and looking after ourselves only. It's about coming together to solve problems. It's not by chance that we have that, two heads is better than one, three heads is better than one, but we're pack animals. We're designed to be in community, to be connected with others and to work collectively. And we can do it really well. So that was the fear that I had to work on, about the sort of disintegration of everything and the breakdown of stuff. Yeah, so if you can look out for my next video, where I'll actually do a tapping to help with all of this. So go and make a plan and do what you can to bring your stress level down. And start to identify, what is it I'm telling myself? What is my fear? And deal with it in the next video.